So the last time when I made a video was on the 4th of August, and I talked about my outlook for the US major indices like the Nasdaq and the S&P. And I hope that you have enjoyed the last video. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to just recap what I've said and also update you on the outlook of the US market. Join the RHO Traders group on Telegram. It's 100% free to join. And I will be sharing daily market updates and strategy to trade the DLC. I will share trade plans on a daily basis showing the key levels to take note of. I also cover indices and also individual stocks like Alibaba, CapitaLand, and DBS. This will help you have a better idea of what to look out for. So join the group now and head down to the description box below and click the following link. Okay, so first of all, I said on the 4th of August that Nasdaq had a 5,000 point run. And from history, a 5,000 point run, right, always run into exhaustion. And I was predicting exhaustion for Nasdaq, and exhaustion would mean that Nasdaq will have to pull back, even if it is in a bull market. So pull back, the Nasdaq did exactly as what we have predicted. And I showed you this uptrend that Nasdaq was enjoying since February 2023. And it was a pretty well-defined uptrend. And I said this, I said that, well, watch this uptrend, all right? And if it breaks, all right, Nasdaq could go as low as 14,400. Well, it didn't go to 14,400, but it touched a low of 14,500. And that was quite close to what I have predicted. So it was a 5% drop, right, from the peak that I predicted that it will pull back. And if you have been into derivatives like DLCs, and even bought the 7 times short DLC, and if Nasdaq has gone down by 5%, the short DLC 7 times would have made you 35% gain. So now I want to discuss where will Nasdaq go from here. So I updated the Nasdaq chart, and if you see my cursor here, right, this arrow, this is where I warned that when it breaks, right, we could see a short-term correction, and a short-term correction came, all right, it went down as far as 14,500, all right, rebounded for the last 1 week, okay, before it start pulling back again, and it registered a 3-day consecutive drop, all right? So yesterday we had Nasdaq falling quite hard because China announced that they would restrict the use of Apple handphone in US, all right? So we had Apple drop and all the other tech stocks was dragged down along with it. So where do we go from here? All right, so if you can see, right, that I have got now a new trade plan, and so what the trend essentially is telling us is that uptrend since February 2003 has broke down, and therefore Nasdaq pull back, and then it did a very normal kind of technical price action, right? It went down and it rebounded, okay? So because there are still plenty of bulls out there waiting to buy on dips. So it pulled back, rebounded, and now it's coming back down again. So whether this weakness will continue will depend on whether it can continue to break below the uptrend channel. So I've updated the uptrend channel. This is my proprietary strategy, which is quite similar to regression line strategy. And so I have marked 15,060 as like an inflection point. If 15,060 breaks, we'll probably see 14,600, and then we probably see a rebound at 14,350. So what I also like to point you to this chart, all right, is the Bollinger Bands, okay? So Nasdaq has been staying above the Bollinger Band since April, all right? let me see, yeah, it's not April, it's June, okay? So it has been staying above the Bollinger Bands since June, and it has, in August, start to break below the Bollinger Bands, and technically speaking, when it breaks below the Bollinger Bands, or the upper end of the Bollinger Bands, technically speaking, the target is the next Bollinger Band line, which is the middle line, all right? So, and if it hits the middle line, right, it can go to as low as 13,300, right? So that is as low as it can go, all right? But at the moment, it is just, moving along this trend. Okay, so let's talk about S&P. So S&P is interesting because I was then introducing my secret proprietary trading method. All right, and I was saying in the last video that this secret proprietary trading method of mine is good to predict macro peaks and macro troughs. Okay, macro peaks and troughs, and you can see from this chart, right, that this trend line that you see on the chart. Right? So every time the prices hits the trend line, you will either see a bottom or a peak. And true enough, right, on 4th of August. And I was talking about S&P hitting my target very near to 4,600, and 4,600 is an inflection point because it hits right at the prices hit right at the upper end of the trend line. So, and then, all right, watch this. All right, so this is something that threw a lot of people off their chairs, mind blowing. Because I said that if it hits 4,600, it will go to 4,350. So how do I know it's 4,350? Because 4,350 is the trend line below the 4,600 trend line. Okay, so that was all spoken and predicted, all right, on 4th and 28th of August, all right? And did that happen? Bingo. So that was exactly what happened, spot on. It hits right there at 4,350, and then it did a rebound. So what I want to point out to you now, all right, is that after a very steep drop to 4,350, okay, the market naturally will rebound, all right? But whether it could now retake the 4,600 is something that I doubt, and that I think that 4,350 will be challenged, and if 4,350 breaks, it will go to 4,160 and 4,000. And what I want to point out is this, all right? So if you look at the channels, all right, the channel intervals, all right, so this interval, right, is about 250 points, okay? But the next interval is 350 points. So the interval gets bigger, which means, right, if the 4,350 breaks, you will have a very steep correction this time around. So the next correction, if it breaks, this trend line will be a lot steeper and better braced, all right, and take cover, okay, if it breaks, okay? All right, so that is my current outlook, but of course, if it doesn't break 4,350, it could just hang around this range, all right, between 4,350 and, perhaps 4,500 level, all right? So it could just range there until it takes a new direction. Okay, so this is where I spoke about, all right, just recap, S&P, okay, and I said that when it breaks this trend line, watch it, it's going to break down. So this is where we are now as of 8 September. And this is S&P as current, all right? And what I want you to watch, right, is this amazing way which you could use this trend line to predict where market peaks. So this, and what, where the market peaks, right, at a point where it coincides with a trend line. And in this case, right, if you look at my cursor, S&P broke right here, okay? It broke right here, the uptrend channel, it broke. And after it broke, it rebounded. And when you look at, the recent rebound, it never managed to cross over into the last channel, all right, it hits right at the channel resistance line and it pulls back, okay? So what is the next level to look at? Technically, it should hit 4415 and it breaks 4415, then we could see more weakness. Okay, what about the Dow Jones? So of all the charts, right, Dow Jones seems to be the most well-defined. Okay, so on 4th of August, I said that the Dow would correct, all right, to 34450, all right, 34450, and correction to 3450, exactly there, it did, it hit, and it rebounded, okay? And then, so what I want to point out to you, all right, is the Dow current situation. So the Dow, right, if you look at the Dow chart, right, you could see that Dow is like quite a well-behaved index, all right, quite predictable. Oh, it's even more predictable than S&P and Nasdaq. Right, you could see back then in January 22, see Dow hit the Bollinger Bands, it hit the upper end Bollinger Band, and it had a very, very steep fall. All right, so this time, right, Dow, right, you know, from right at the bottom of the Bollinger Band, climbed all the way back and touches the peak of the Bollinger Band, and it broke. All right, so the line that separates, all right, the bull and the bear is where we are now today. Okay, so you can see from the chart, right, that Dow has been struggling, you know, to bounce off from this trend line. Look at my cursor, this trend line, and it has bounced off this trend line for, boy, 4 times. Is it going to break? I think it might. And if it breaks, it's going to be serious, all right? And then you look at Dow, right, from a trend point of view, look at the blue lines, right? It's very trendy, all right? So Bollinger Bands was here to tell us where we could see a peak, and then the trend line was also showing a peak. So the trend line was coincide with the Bollinger Bands, all right, and then you have a very nice short-term trend moving up, and prices were just lockstep with the trends. Okay, so not difficult. Just watch the trend line and see if it breaks.